What's up? I'm Sam Du from Pit and Paddock and Turn 14 Distribution, and we're here at RPM Garage in Monrovia, California. They have our Turn 14 SuperPro Sequoia TRD Pro, and they're going to be building it for the 2024 SEMA Show for us. We're actually going to be giving it away at the end of 2025. We have 3 days to finish this build before we have to get it ready for Vegas. So we have a lot of parts to install. Steve Lamb from RPM Garage is going to help us out. We're here. We have a few weeks to SEMA and excited to start this project with you. But tell us a little bit about RPM Garage.
Yeah, RPM Garage, we've been around for about 15 years. We build off-road and overlanding trucks. General repair, maintenance, mostly on Toyotas. Most of the mods you see on most like the 4Runners and Land Cruisers that's popular, that's what we specialize in.
So how often do you see Sequoias? Because it's not your typical customer. It's definitely more of like a family SUV with its third row. Do you see a lot of people taking them out or modifying them?
We do. Mostly some guys that have families will gravitate towards them. They're not like full-size trucks and they're not super small either, you know, so it fits a certain type of demographic.
We got a lot of cool parts that we're going to put on this for SEMA, and we're also going to take it off-roading, and eventually we're actually going to give this away to a Turn 14 distribution customer next year. So, without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to do all the suspension today.
We have a lower control arm from SuperPro, and it looks like an OEM arm, but it's actually different. It comes with the grease. The bushings are already loaded in. It's got a factory style ball joint and it comes complete ready to install. These bushings have a free-flowing center pin, so when you're off-roading, the arms have a better articulation and they can, without stretching a bushing like a factory arm would. These are a very new product from SuperPro. These are billet aluminum arms and very beefy. It's got the special greaseless bushings on both sides, also milled out for lightweight and extra protection with a Delrin lower. These upper arms, so it's good for day-to-day use and like occasional off-roading. That's what works for 95% of the people out there. And it's got the same bushings in here, the greaseless bushings. And that's what makes the product great. That's what most people are looking for. A good time to do this is like when your truck is maybe, if you don't do it off the bat, like over 100,000 miles, when the suspension bushings are tired, cracked and worn, might as well upgrade with a brand new arm, because with labor costs nowadays, sometimes it makes more sense to buy the whole complete arm. And the mechanics are actually a lot happier doing that.
Now that we talked about the arms, we're going to move on to these beautiful King shocks.
So this is King's, what they call OEM series, and OEM series basically is it'll bolt on your truck. You don't have to weld anything and you don't have to like cut anything to make them fit, so that you could even install them at home. These are the front coilovers because the coil's with the shock, and it has a remote reservoir. And this one's finned for cooling, and it's got a compression adjuster. And the rear shock also has a remote reservoir with a compression adjuster. These shocks are very durable, they're rebuildable, and you could tune them too. So if you like a certain type of off-roading, you could actually change the valving in these shocks. And after 40, 50, 60,000 miles, you can rebuild them so you don't have to buy a brand new set of shocks. And also, if you add weight to your vehicle on the front end, bumpers, skid plates, whatever, you could actually change the coil spring to handle a heavier load.
The last piece of the puzzle is these Firestone airbags, which are going to go in the rear. So why don't you tell us, why would anyone need these?
Factory cars come with a rake where the front is lower than the rear. And but now that we modify the truck, everyone wants their truck to look level. But when you load it up, your headlights are in the air and the rear suspension's sinking. That's where these airbags come into play. This is actually a very affordable kit, and you don't have to do any crazy modifications to add them to your vehicle. These go inside the rear springs, and if you have a truck that has leaf springs, they make a kit with brackets to put these on. But this style suspension, all you need is the bag, some air lines, and the kit has everything that you need. It'll bring the rear up if it's sagging really heavy, whether it's from towing, or you have a rear drawer system, or you just load it up for your trip. And you can just add some air to it and it'll bring the rear up. Okay. And it'll keep it from bottoming out. 80% of the people, they just go for one that you can manually air up.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 2 bags, air compressor, and some wiring.
You think we'll get this all done in today?
This is a everyday job for us, so let's do this.
All right. They went awesome. They're just wrapping up the suspension behind me. Tomorrow we have a big day with even more parts to install with the chassis, wheels and tires. So I'll see you guys again tomorrow. We're halfway through. We had an awesome first day of getting all suspension installed on the Turn 14 SuperPro Sequoia TRD Pro. So why don't we just take a quick look at all the good stuff that we did yesterday.
Right here you'll see the King shocks in the rear with the remote resis mounted.
It's nice when you can see there with the reservoir. It's the knob to adjust the stiffness is right there.
Yeah, the compression adjuster is right there. So it's easy to access even with the wheel on. You can just reach in there and turn it. If you go on certain types of road where it's really bumpy, you can soften it up, and you're doing a mountain road where there's a lot of tight turns and swaying, you could tighten them up a little bit for a firmer ride. You see the SuperPro lower control arms, you'll see the upper control arms. Yesterday we talked about this plate right here that protects it from rocks and debris on the road. We have the Firestone airbags. That comes in really handy for towing or if you load up the vehicle and the rear end is sagging. So there's a lot of kits out there that just has an air valve that you mount to the back of the bumper, but you need to go to either a gas station or get your own pump to plug in to air it up. But the Firestone kit, the Air Right kit does have an onboard compressor you can install. And by the flip of a switch, you can air up those bags without having to get out of the truck. And it's just very convenient.
Let's check out the front real quick.
Check it out. What we have here is a lot beefier. We have the SuperPro lower arms. And like we talked about, it's got their greaseless bushings. These shocks, they ride really well on the road and off-road. Just like the rear, it's got the reservoir and the compression adjusters to dial it in to the type of road that you're on.
We went to a bigger tire, smaller wheel. Tell us some of the advantages of this setup.
So obviously, the first thing is it looks a lot more aggressive than factory. Most guys that go off-roading, they're gonna want something that looks a little more aggressive and also does better off-road because you might be in the snow, the sand. We went smaller on the wheel because we want to run a thicker tire. And the advantage of that is if you're on a rough road, you got a thicker tire, it's gonna give you more of a cushion. Other guys do air down, so with the tire air down, you have these side tread blocks to give you more traction through rocks and sand and dirt. Off-road, all-terrain, they have all-terrain, mud terrain, but for this particular build, we felt like this is the right tire because we want to make the ultimate family hauler. And with all this power, it's going to be hard to stop.
Yeah.
So we got some Hawk LTS brake pads. It actually comes at a pretty good price level without having to upgrade the calipers and all that, rotors and all that stuff. So it's a good economical upgrade that's, it's good value. So most customers like that. This is a part of their MagnaFlow exhaust system. Josh back there is installing the tubing. It's cat back, so he's doing the tubing that goes under the truck.
All right, how are we looking, Steve?
Pretty good. The guys are back there still working. They already got some of the stuff pre-installed here, and everything on the bottom is finished with the suspension and some lighting in the front from Baja Designs. All right, let's go.
Great. So the Sequoia already comes with a stock light bar. Is it going to be a big difference with the Baja Designs one?
Yeah, so the stock light bar, I don't know how many watts, but it's not super bright. Baja Designs makes this 20-inch bar that bolts to the factory location and comes with all the brackets and the wiring harness. And the cool thing about this light bar, it actually has backlighting too in amber, so it looks really cool. Got the ditch light set from Baja Designs, and these guys have backlighting too. And you could get these with amber cover or clear, and these are clear. So if you're more of a desert guy and you like to go in the dirt and you got friends in front of you and there's a lot of dust and fog or whatever it is, amber tends to work better.
a dope 3 days here at RPM Garage. The guys killed it, and the Sequoia TRD Pro is actually going to be done on time. With this vehicle being given away to a lucky Turn 14 distribution customer in 2025, we want it to be built for anyone. That's a wrap, and we'll see you guys in Vegas.